Greetings, my beloved brothers and sisters.
Greetings.
And how do you this day of your time?
Wonderful.
Indeed. You are all becoming that which you call united of your heart seals, allowing the light of you to come forth, and indeed enshrine one another with this love of that which you call God I am. The illustration of this comes forth unto you as you reflect unto one another in the lake of love, as you allow yourself to perceive the beauty beyond the surface reflection, the treasures of the depth within. Indeed, it is becoming unknown, that which you call your limitation, that which you call your stress, your frustration. You're endeavoring to provide that which you call the Prince of you with the provisions of prosperity. Indeed, this indeed is passing away as that which you call ancient Atlantis did upon your plain thousands of years ago in your time. We shall discuss that which you call Atlantis, indeed, in detail, and that which you call the fall of it, the ruin, the destruction, the utter devastation of it. However, there are a few things that is desirous to bring forth at this point in your time, for you to understand that which is the wisdom that is to come forth this evening of your time. There is a grand fire that burns within you all. It is the torch, the light, the God I am fire flame. That indeed comes forth in that which you call the convergence, that which you call the ever now moment, the eternal now, the forever bringing forth of the wisdom of the source of you, the channel, the God I am of you as it issues forth. This fire is burning brilliantly within you. And the divine fire always follows the path of the most resistance, not least in this case. And those aspects of you that are most resistive, that are indeed non-desirous of merging into the all that is, are where the fire desires to burn heartily and allow the glow of it to be seen and felt within your essence. Now, this fire will continue to allow itself in this manner as long as there remains within you that which is resistant aspects within you, that which you call non-merging aspects, until all is in oneness, all is attuned in union with the source of you, with the God I am of you. This fire indeed also brings forth that which you call fear upon your plane, fear of the dreaded. And that which you call the dreaded of your now is that which you call the financial institution, the economic situation of your kingdoms upon the plane. They indeed are bringing forth frustration within the heart seal of many entities. But you know, you need not be under the weather about your life experience. Indeed, in that which you call a limbo, when you know that which is the essence that it represents unto you, the symbol of it. Now, indeed, do you know who was the grandest financier of that which you call your Bible? Noah. He floated his stocks when the entire world was in liquidation. Indeed. Now, that you are all aligned with that which you call laughter, we shall continue. A bouncing of the jest, as it were. You know, that which you call the Illuminati, which you also call the Antichrist, which you also call the attunement to the Jehovah energy, is coming upon your plane, and indeed understands itself in that which you call the manipulation of your economy, that which you call the bringing forth of fear within the entities that are participating in world mass consciousness. Now, many of you judge these entities heartily and heavily. Judgment is not merely a word, it is a sentence. Indeed, that which is the judgment upon the spoon, only when you partake of this judgment do you require an antidote. And you are all partaking of judgment in your now, and this is the antidote. That which you call Illuminati, the Federal Reserve Board as it were, is indeed born of that which you issues forth yourself as well, the ancient Atlantis. It was the Orion energy that is again representing itself here upon your plane in order to understand yet again what be the power. It understands not divine love is the grand power source, the connection to the grand creative force. It understands indeed only manipulation and exertion of its sovereign power, sovereign essence, free will as it were, over another entity. Indeed, this is a symbol of powerlessness, and it will come to understand this very soon in your time. And when it does, it will resort to dramatic oppression, because it feels and fears that which is its powerlessness folding in on itself. And this is the point of harmonious merging. This is the unification occurrence point, that which you call the flash point of the flame. And there will be a spark that is ignited as a catalyst that will create an emotional chain reaction among the peoples of this earth. And that which you call the catalyst, that which you call the spark, will be the understanding, the recognition that that which you call the separator and oppressor of the peoples is not the Illuminati, is not indeed the Antichrist or the Jehovah energy. It is that which you call the separation itself, the definition, the barriers between the peoples. That which you call the Illuminati, etc., are merely the symbol that it represents. That which is a physical, tangible, creative essence upon your plane to demonstrate and experience that which you call limitation is the Illuminati. It is accommodating you and allowing you to understand what it is and to love it, to merge within its essence, to become one, unified, harmonious whole with it, and create no barriers, no boundaries, no resistive points, no oppression. Create only a harmonious union and release the shackles that it has wrapped around itself for all these eons of time. This indeed will be the harmonious resolution of that which you call the New Atlantis. Indeed, that which you call the Illuminati was very instrumental in the Atlantean destruction, that which you call the conversion of its essence into that which you call beneath the waters of your ocean. And it is of vital importance for you to understand how indeed you can bring forth harmonious resolution this your era of time, this your understanding of another illustration of God understood. Now, you see, that which is the fear broadcast, that which you call the warning or prophecy upon your plane, it is not a sentence that has been passed. It is merely an opportunity to understand mass consciousness in that now moment. That now moment only. The next now moment is born anew from the fiery form of that which you call the creation of the now moment before. Indeed, all is anew in each moment. You can indeed choose to create what you desire to experience. You need not have disharmonious bringing forth of your financial system in collapse. You may have it very harmonious indeed as resolution unto your experience. It need not be that which you call according to your belief systems of that which is of old in your time, that which you call your Piscean era. It may indeed be the unlimited perception. That which is your belief system, that which is the knowingness that you harbor within your breast, that creates your environment, your reality, your experience, nothing else. What it is that you know, you bring forth into your experience by believing it into being. Indeed, as you desire to be free from the economic institutions and that which you call the threat of collapse, know indeed that it shall be harmonious, that you shall not be brought forth from your sovereignty because of it. That which you call your currency is a symbol. It is not that which is your energy, it is a symbol of your energy. bring forth direct interaction with one another, and it will indeed enhance and facilitate interactive global economy. Indeed, become the grand exemplar with one another. Understand your gold, as it were, as a symbol, and indeed understand that which it represents, energy, as a symbol of your own energy, your own power to create. And you need not it. You need not that which is any sort of symbol. You may create and manifest the experience without your currency or gold or whatever. In the interim, while you are discovering this for yourself, know only that which you term to be your oppressors and the manipulators of your economy are indeed merely representing a reflection to you. They are not to be judged. They are your brothers. They sprang forth from Atlantis. They indeed were within the temples beside you when you were bringing forth the light in that era of time. And you again may allow yourselves harmonious representation upon this plane again in your time by allowing the love of you to entouch them into knowingness, to unfold the blinders that are upon them, to allow them unlimited perception as well. That which you call Atlantis, it has come to be known as that which you call a crystal cathedral, a citadel indeed, a celestial citadel. It was indeed very large in continent form, but it was not a continent, it was an island. There is a difference in geophysical definition here. And that which you call an island was grand and massive, and it spanned approximately 77,000 square miles of your area. It indeed was a grand continent. And there were several islands, multitudinous of them, scattered about the large one. It was located within your Atlantic Ocean. Indeed, it was that which you call the Atlantic Bridge continent, spanning that which you call west of your Bering Strait into that which is the eastern seaboard of your America. And it brought forth illustrious representation unto the earth. It was the grand connector. It was the connector plateau between Europe, your Africa, and your North America. It was splendid in its representation. It had upon it a grand mountain. This mountain is called Atlas. That is where the term Atlantean came from. Atlantean and Atlantean are synonymous. They are merely different translations of the same derivative. Indeed, that which was called Atlas was a grand column, and it appeared to hold the sky up, as it were. And that is where the legend of your Atlas originated. And indeed, it was cloaked and shrouded and wreathed in a smoky billow of cloud above it. A silvery cloud indeed that was splendid and glowing. And it appeared to hold the sky up. It was indeed in the form of what you call a mushroom top. Many of them have seen them within your heavens. They also have that which you call the understanding of the shrouding of your craft, of your brothers. This has come to be known in your time. It was also the same in that time. For that which you call the land of Atlas, the mountain thereof, it was the home of the brothers called the Pleiadians. It was the temple of the gods, as it were. It was an abode of divine energy. It was in the form of a tetrahedron, an equilateral pyramid. And indeed, that was the original pyramid. It was the prototype for all the rest of the pyramids. And it had upon it terraces. It was a terraced temple. And that which you call the step pyramids retained the original form of that prototype. And indeed, within it was a grand glow. The lava swirled within it in a glow. It was not an active volcano, but it did glow heartily. And as it glowed, it brought forth a reflection from that which was the cloud above it. And indeed it brought forth the reflection from the snow-capped peaks. And that which you call the blaze brought forth the remembrance of burnished gold. And indeed it appeared to be capped in burnished gold. This was retained in what you call the pyramids thereafter. Indeed, that is where the bringing forth of the covering in lavish form of the pyramids in gold came from. The remembrance of the glow. The remembrance, indeed, of the divine resonance of light in fiery form that issued forth. That is also the origination of that which you call the capping of your capital buildings in gold. A capstone of gold, as it were. The grand glowing summit that could be seen from distances untold, and that which you call the mountain of Atlantis. Indeed, it was a light, it was a beacon for the peoples of the world. That is what your capital buildings were meant to be. A beacon point, a lighthouse, satellite white houses, as it were. Now, that which you call the formation of your pyramid was also retained in your culture that came to be known as your post-Diluvian era. And indeed, it is now represented upon your churches and your religious structures as steeples in this form. And indeed, it came to be understood as the spires of the cathedrals, the mosques, and the minarets. There is much within your culture of your now that is representative of your Atlantean era. You remember, but you do not know what it is that you remember. You do not even know when you are remembering. You merely experience a ghost of a memory. But the sage within you whispers and echoes and flickers. Immerse this eternal wisdom of you with the fire of your heart, and allow indeed the embracing of the fingers of the flame. Allow indeed for this that you call the light of God of you in your now to bring forth your experience and harmonious remembrance. Drape yourself in the raiment of remembrance this evening of your time. Allow yourself to recall echoes of ancient awareness. And as you do, you will become healed. You indeed are the healers of humanity, and in the healing you shall also be healed. And all shall be absolved, and all shall indeed be brought forth into the resolution of the era of God, the age of Aquarius. It need not indeed be that which is woe-begotten. You know, we never promised you a woe's garden. Promenade among the garden of gods in the awareness of who and what you are and the power represented within your own being to create, to bring forth merging and not battling and warring, to bring forth love and not hatred and jealousy and pettiness and greed and power lust. For that is what your fear of your economic situation is a catalyst of. And as it is aligned, so also is the rest of the Atlantean memory aligned. The Orions and the Pleiadians are rampant upon this your plane in your now. They are allowing themselves to integrate, to harmoniously interact and interweave their essences. Integrity is integration. It is that which is the integrating of that which is the elements of God in a harmonious fashion, so that the integrity of the God I am is maintained. that which you call the god of Atlantis, in your legend of time, came to be known as a terrible god, came to be known as that which was to be feared, came to be known indeed as that which was rampant with hatred and spitefulness. Therefore, that which you call the legend carried forth the experience of sacrifice, and indeed it was known to be the instrument of his terror as a thunderbolt. But it was not a bolt of lightning, it was a bolt of laser energy. It was translated into a bolt of lightning in your eras later. That which you call the sacrifice was accomplished by slaying the entity with a symbol of a thunderbolt and allowing that which was the burnt sacrificial offering to be risen up into that which you call the temples, so that the gods may be satisfied. Indeed, that which was the glow was not all that was contained within the mountain. There was also a smoky mist, as it were. This is the origination of what you now call incense, the smoky mist of your grand mountain, for it poured forth a beauteous fragrance. Its aroma was of sweetness, was of wisdom, was of channel, I am God of you. Now, this that you call the sacrifice, it has become known as that which you call the law of Atlantis, and indeed it was the origin of some of what is now called your Halloween celebration. For it indeed brought forth much fear and trepidation within the breast of entities, and much judgment as wickedness, as paganism, as that which is non-God I am. It was merely an aberration of a different perception of that which is God I am. And we are bringing it forth into merging in your now, knowing indeed that there is no limitation on the earth. That which you call your crash of your stock market, it was not really a crash. It was merely redistribution of resources. And you know, there is no lack upon your plane. There is merely only different perspectives. A shifting of perception. And this is what is occurring with your judgments of what is evil and what is to be feared and what indeed is to be understood. It is a shifting of perspectives into the wholeness, into the unity of it all. To allow the unfoldment as accorded to the divine desire within your own breast. That which is the bringing forth of a new Atlantis. That which you call your Star Wars, that is implemented by your king called Reagan. There was another Star Wars. This is the Star Wars of a new Atlantis, and it can be aligned, as the other was not. We will discuss this in detail as well. Are there any questions of your time in your now? Indeed.
Saint Germain, I was wondering if a lot of the information that's coming forth about Atlantis is that because people are discovering more about crystals?
The crystals are merely a tool, an instrument that brings back the memory unto them. They return unto the abode of their knowingness and allow this knowingness to spew forth. Very likened unto when you have that which you call a relic of your childhood and you're nearby, and it brings forth memory unto your breast that you had long since forgotten. Do you understand?
Saint Germain?
All in unison here. Thank you, my beloved Baba. Indeed.
The crystal bowls, I understand that originally the the essence and the memory of Atlantis was stored within the crystals. And if my understanding is correct, can that be unlocked through the bowls?
Unlocked, not through the bowls, through you. You see, my brother, that which is the crystalline representation of the wisdom is merely a resonance. You may resonate and attune to that resonance any moment you desire. That which is you, that which is the essence that you consider yourself to be, is a personality, is what you call an idea. That which is the concept of you is containing many different frequencies, resonances as it were. And when you attune this resonance called you into the expansive God I am of you, you may have unlimited amounts of resonances to attune unto. Now that which is the wisdom contained within the bowl is merely frequencies that will bring forth re-experiencing of memory, of knowingness. That is all it is. It is likened unto a tuning fork. And when you hear it, you will respond with memory. You need not the bowl, however. You may attune to the same resonance within your own being without it. It is indeed a grand facilitator. It is indeed a grand companion, a tool as it were. Grand indeed, wondrous indeed, divine indeed, and beloved of my heart. But it is not your wisdom. You are your wisdom. Do you understand? You are your teacher, no one else. You are your own grand divine God I am reflection. Now, that which is the bowl is no different than that which was the crystal on Atlantis. However, there was crystalline technology upon the plane that allowed entities to place their hand within a beam and obtain all the knowledge and technology through that manner by absorbing the frequencies. This was their school, their university as you call it. They placed their hand within a beam and that is all. Now, that is also attuning the cells of the embodiment, the atoms within the cells, tuning them all up as it were into that which is a grand symphony of wisdom in a particular area. There was much technology rampant within the era called Atlantis. It was a divine institution, as it were, for wisdom to be perceived, experienced, understood in a tangible fashion. Not only in an etheric manner, although they did become a bit, how you term it, airy-fairy at times. But indeed, in a tangible, concrete form to allow the beauteous representation of what is physicality, which is a divine experience indeed. The crystal technology coming forth this time in your plane is yet but the tip of the iceberg. You already perceive that which is your next 4 or 5 years of your time in your nation by becoming aware of the Atlantean culture. For it is indeed the new Atlantis. It is indeed following in the footsteps, as it were, and we will illustrate how in your later time. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you, my beloved brother.
Saint Germain. Saint Germain.
Indeed.
I was curious about something in Atlantis, and it was there a manipulation genetically in a way of genetic engineering that happened at that time to allow for physical vehicles for entities to be able to survive underwater, for example, or to be winged in essence of the way the fetus goes through those changes, and maybe stopped at certain places to allow, like gills or something like that?
Genetic bioengineering was rampant in that which you call the crystalline technology of the plane at the time.
And would that be maybe what has given rise to a lot of our mythological beliefs about creatures that were...
That is part of it, but that is not all of it. For that which you call the rise of your Grecian cultures and your Minoan cultures, Peloponnesus, all of your ancient relics that were after that which you call the Diluvian era, within the Diluvian era, were indeed that which was the winged creatures called Pegasus. They came forth to understand merging with humanity. It was a sort of desire to bring forth new light and new knowingness into the plane after the destruction of Atlantis. There was also some manipulation therein as well, for your Grecian culture was quite understanding and aware as well. They were born of that which was Atlantis. There were survivors from Atlantis, and they went into your Mayan area. Later, they indeed sprang up in your Greece and in your Rome. Your Egyptians as well were part of the Atlantean culture.
Or like in the Druids, maybe pre-Druid in England? Maybe
Indeed.
that kind of thing.
That which you call the day after your fall of Atlantis is celebrated as the day of the fall of the Druids. Indeed, it is celebrated as the Sabbath of witches. The day of your fall of Atlantis, called November and 1st, that indeed was the understanding called All Saints' Day. That which is the day after your fall of Atlantis is All Souls' Day, but it was a commemoration of the departed souls of your grand deluge and catastrophe. Destruction of Atlantis. It has come unto that which you call the celebration of many sorts of commemorations now in your time. National UNICEF Day. Indeed, it is the bringing forth of Reformation Day as well, within your Lutheran understandings and other Protestant facets. There is much wisdom to be understood through these celebrations. When you understand what occurred in Atlantis, you will understand many of the legends that are rampant upon your plane now. In your Greek legends, your Romans, your Mayans, that which is contained within the Mahabharata, that which is contained within your Indus Valley, your Hindu tradition, your Muslim and Islam tradition. All of that which is your folklore, indeed, all of that which exists upon the plane now in your time, was spawned of Atlantis. Indeed.
Could you explain briefly what the relationship is between Atlantis and Lemuria then?
They were dichotomized representations of the source. That which you call the divine ego of you, that which you call the unlimited allowing love energy of you, is represented by Lemuria. That which you call the Atlantean understanding is sovereign, power-oriented. That which you call the left brain understanding, rigorous in attitude, called scientific technology, etc. It indeed was that which was the masculine aspect, and Lemurian was the feminine aspect.
If then Atlantis was effective as it was not also Lemuria?
Indeed. However, Atlantis is that which is given so much credence in your literature and culture. They are both together at one moment in their bringing forth of wisdom unto you. Atlantis was a continent. Lemuria was that which you call a grand ship.
A what?
A ship of light. And it had its partaking, one moment please, upon that which you call this your land. However, it was also, and the land beneath it did bring forth its destruction as well. However, it did bring forth its presentation within your heavens. The land called Mu was a ship. That is why you shan't find it upon your earth plane as a civilization. And that which is Atlantis is buried beneath lava, silt, mud upon the bottom of your ocean. It indeed may be excavated. It is that which you call southward of the Azores. When Atlantis falls, does it rise again? Indeed, you are living proof of this. When the rain falls, does it rise again? In due time. There was a chuckle somewhere, was there not? Indeed, all is a cycle of life. All indeed is a resplendent journey yet again and again. That which you call your experience of heritage, it is within the breath of the mountain you call Mount Atlas. Indeed, that which was housed within the walls of the mountain was the wisdom of the eons of the Brothers of Light. That which were the keepers of this wisdom, as you call it, were the Pleiadians. Indeed, it was the original temple, house of worship, as you call it, house of light, love, and that which you call divine awareness. Support offered forth eternally in the light of gold of God. Now, that which were contained within the walls as wisdom were understood by the peoples of the temple, the priests and priestesses, that indeed which were the Brothers of the Light. And when indeed this wisdom came into the hands of that which were the technologists and the governmental officials, and those indeed that had power lust of the breast, indeed this is where the tale of terror begins. This indeed is the culmination of that which you call human nature, both in the goodness of heart and the bringing forth of the light, and of the desperation of the alter ego, and the clinging through fear and hatred and desire, coveting the power of another. Now, that which is your Star Wars in your now, it is already instituted within your heavens. It is that which is crystal in understanding, that which casts forth laser power as it interweaves in a lattice fashion, that which would be the continents of your nation, to be like casting a light net across the nation, so that they are captured with laser. They indeed will be brought forth into forbearance if this that you call your Star Wars machinery of your now is not aligned. That which you call your Star Wars of your ancient history, indeed, was Atlantis, understood. An ancient battleground. There was a celestial body, it is an asteroid, and it came unto that which you call the alignment of orbit, which was in the evening of time at dusk, when the heavenly bodies that you call your Earth, your Moon, and Venus were aligned. That which was this asteroid was deflected into the orbital pattern of this your Earth. It was indeed enhanced through the gravitational fields of your Venus and your Moon towards the deflection into your Earth's orbit pattern. Now, These little scientists upon Atlantis, the technologists, indeed they were aware of this uncommon phenomenon. And they were desirous of bringing forth their crystalline formations upon this asteroid and allowing it to be captured in what you term to be a tractor beam. Allowing it indeed to be brought forth into alignment, to hold still as it were, and be calm encompassed into the orbit of the earth, likened unto another moon. That was the desire of the Atlantean scientists. They felt their laser power was powerful enough to capture this that you call the asteroid body and allow it to encircle the earth and place their instruments of war upon it, so that the entire earth plane would be at their submission, would indeed be their kingdom. This was their heart's desire in that moment. It was a grand one. There were many that were aware of what were their desires, shrouded as they were, and they counseled them and labored indeed to bring forth wisdom and allowance and love of their brothers, to exist upon their continents without interference, without dominion. But ye, these entities, gave forth upon their breast that which was power lust, and they desired to rule the empire of the world. And indeed, it was at the threshold of their fingertips they felt. And so they brought forth a grand instrumentation which was experimental. It was not what you term to be a laboratory in nature. Therefore, there was no trial. They felt, therefore, that this was to be a grand maiden journey for their new laser technology. The dolphin in that period of time was embodied in a different fashion, but it indeed was the same sort of consciousness. And they came forth and counseled and pled unto the entities to give forbearance unto this that you call asteroid and allow it to continue its journey in the celestial heavens. They naysayed this and indeed went forth with much confidence and strength of conviction that they indeed were now the new rulers and masters of the earth plane, that they indeed had captured the understanding of how it was to be brought forth into forbearance. Now, that which you call your brothers, the Pleiadians of the mountain of Atlantis, the atlas of your new era to be born yet again. Indeed, they came forth and they kept counsel among themselves. They understood what was to occur. And they indeed understood also, beyond the understanding of these scientists, that there was to be a deflection of the laser ray, that it would go forth unto that which was the asteroid, be deflected, and indeed encounter Atlantis itself, in addition to the asteroid. And they counseled whether or not to alert the Atlanteans about this oncoming disaster. And indeed, they desired to allow that which were the scientists to understand their wisdom without interference. And they went forth and they brought many of the records of wisdom into the temples of Egypt. And that which you call the wisdom of the ages were encoded in hieroglyphic, brought forth in that which you call terminology not understood of your day, not understood of the language of that time in that era, because they desired not the same occurrence until the wisdom was captured. That which you call the bringing forth of this that was counsel was allowed and aligned, and they did bring forth what you call some understanding unto the entity called Noah, to go forth and craft himself a grand ship, a grand ark as it were, and allow that which was the shining light of his own essence to go forth and be patriarch of the new land, indeed, bring the genealogy of that which were the Atlanteans and the Lemurians into the new continents to be dispersed.
You may now begin the other side of this tape.
Into the new continents to be dispersed. This was done. That which you call the casting forth of the rays, indeed, it also was done. And it allowed that which was the deflection of the light laser ray, and indeed, into the new continents to be dispersed. This was done. That which you call the casting forth of the rays, indeed, it also was done. And it allowed that which was the deflection of the light laser ray, and indeed, the asteroid was damaged. It was indeed capturing of the blast, embracing it, and it brought forth its essence into the atmosphere of this earth plane in grand fashion. It was about 6 of your miles in diameter, and it was traveling at a rate of about 8 of your miles per second. And when it indeed encountered that which was your atmosphere, it lit into a grand blaze. Indeed, the blaze was what you term to be blinding. That which was the energy coefficient of it was 18,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Your sun's surface is about 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That will give you an idea of how blazing the light indeed came to be upon this your plane. It was a flash that existed about 2 of your minutes of time, and about that which you call the time of its explosion into 2 pieces, it was over the Atlantic Ocean. And it indeed embedded in the ocean floor, in that which you call the nearness of your Puerto Rico plateau. And there are 2 grand holes there now, about 23,000 feet in depth. This is the impact. That which was the continent of Atlantis was quite in shock. There was much disarray of the consciousness. They were frenzied, panicked, and there was some fleeing, and indeed there was some flight in that which you call the ship. That which you call the understanding of the impact brought forth within it that which was the traveling of the smaller structures, that which was the rubble behind it. And because the impact was loaded with so much heat, so much tremendous potential power, everything it touched immediately vaporized, and therefore there was an enormous vapor gas emission in that area beneath the surface of the earth. Tremendous subterrestrial power was brought forth to forbearance throughout the earth plane. The earth crust was brittle and fractured. And indeed, all this power brought forth rumblings beneath the surface of the earth throughout your globe. And there was risings and lowerings of the earth's crust in this fashion all over the earth. And that is why there were many Atlantices, that which you call the submersion of many continents in some fashion or other in this timing. Until that which you call the platform of the islands and the continents gave way, and indeed brought forth a grand volcano which was fire spewing forth into the air. That which was the impact caused a tidal wave of grand fashion. 2,000 feet in height were the waves, but before they could reach the coastal areas, indeed there was the emission of the volcanoes in that area. There was that which is grand torrential understanding of magma spewing forth into the heavens, a tower of light, a pillar of fire going forth into beyond the troposphere into the ionosphere. Indeed, it was of such impact that there were 480,000 cubic miles or thereabouts of magma emitted from the volcano of this area called Atlantis. And it was spewed forth, and there was the crashing of the waves and the hissing of the steam and quenching the fire. And this occurred all over the earth plane, but in particular in that which is called Atlantis. And the spewing forth of the magma was incinerated when it went forth into the steam, and it was carried forth by storms and torrential understandings of tornadoes as they enshrouded themselves in mushroom clouds of steam and ash and dust from that which was emitted from the volcanoes. That which was a volcanic action was set off in a chain reaction. Every active volcano in the area of this your earth plane became active, and vents were allowed to become understood for that which was the release of pressure from the gases beneath your subterranean understanding. As this came forth into the air, it was swept into massive clouds that became blackened as night with amber glow because of that which you call the ash and the dust. Massive indeed, and they accumulated their size in tremendous speed. They became the size of your continents, and they indeed hovered lowly across the continent. It was overcast, it was dark as night. That which was your land, your earth plane, your beloved Terra, was shrouded in fog for 5,000 years after this. There was no sun to bring warmth into the land. That which was the crashing of the tidal waves went forth into all areas of this earth plane, and indeed brought funneling into the glens and valleys and flooded your forests. And then came the cold. That which was the gases, the asphyxiating gases, swept forth across the Bering Strait and was followed by Arctic cold. This was continued for 5,000 of your years until that which was the warming occurred due to that which was the dispersing of the mists of the shroud, of the gases, and indeed of the dust and the ash. That which was the ash of your Atlantis was funneled through these clouds into all areas of your earth. So indeed, if you in this day of your time pick up a clod of your clay, it could have been touched by the dust of Atlantis. It was also brought forth into the muck and the mire of the silt in the area where there was the submersion. That which was the platform of that island called Atlantis sunk 10,000 feet. Not only the land itself, but the bottom of the earth floor that supported the island sunk 10,000 feet. And indeed, it brought forth a gradual disappearance. It was about 1.5 of your days in this occurrence. Now, that which you call the Earth's axis, by the impact of this, that you call your asteroid body, it was brought forth into the understanding of a rotational polar shift of about 2 degrees. And this is still in your understanding of this day. So that which you call the temperate primordial forest brought forth their understanding in the southward, and indeed the pole of north came northward. The cold was of your northern hemisphere. That which was the pulse of blast was 2 different ones. The first one brought forth the jarring and rending of the continents from one another. Until this time they were all connected, they were all unified harmoniously and joined within their essence. That which was the impact brought to the forbearance, that which was severance of them. They were ripped and torn from one another, and they went eastward and westward, separate. That is where your separate philosophies of Eastern and Western came from. That also began the polarities in this fashion of alter ego and divine ego in the manner that it is represented upon this your plane in your now. Now, that which were your separation of continents, your continental drift as it is called, originated with your Atlantean destruction. Your second blast came forth in the opposite direction. It was an echo of sorts. And indeed, the shock of this created your many fragmented islands around your nations, because it was brittle in the crust of it, and therefore created fragmented appearance. The second blast created the widening of the Atlantic Ocean, for it was much narrower in that day of your time. Indeed, that which was the wailing and mourning of this your earth plane could be heard many, many dimensions from this one. It was that which was the mourning of humanity for a lost civilization of God. That which were your storms, your rains, the heavens breaking forth their heart and allowing the tears to run from the breast of the earth, and indeed allowing mother-father principle to mourn for that which was Mother Earth. And indeed, she did. And that which were the tidal waves and your torrential rains came forth. In their union, they brought forth much flooding and destruction and damage upon the plain. There was much of that which you call the rise of your water level, your sea level, around your earth plane, approximately of an average of about 300 feet worldwide. There was also that which was the shifting of your glaciers and the breaking forth of them. Indeed, this was caused in part by that which was the polar shift. However, they did not melt right away in your time, immediately. It was about 5,000 of your years before they dissipated, because that is when the breaking of the dawn came and the warming of your temperature. That which you call your ice age was really the Atlantean age. And that which you call your present era is the coming forth of a new land of golden warmth and the understanding of God's divine essence within the ice age of your now. The ice is not apparent upon your plane. The ice is within your hearts, and it can be melted and merged with, very much like that which you call the snow and the fire melt into one another. The fire within your breast can melt and merge within the ice of another's heart. And that is how you become unified. That is how the manipulators become one with that which is God's divine essence. Their ice is melted. Now, many of you remember, but you do not remember, this that has been called the event of cataclysmic proportions has been engraved upon the hearts and memories and souls of all humanity. But they have forgotten. It haunts them. They have dreams about it. Indeed, there are relics and echoes and shadows within their experience that whisper unto them about it. But they do not understand these whisperings of wisdom. This is brought forth before you this day in your time, for you to understand, for you to embrace it, for you to capture what it is that you've experienced, and indeed enlighten, inflame the world with your newfound knowingness, with your new understanding of what be you, and what be this your earth plane, and what be this your new Atlantis. Indeed, to bring the fire of the mountain of Atlantis and the golden glow of it, to bring it forth for all to see and understand through your own divine example. Burnish yourself with this wisdom, and you shall be indeed the refined gold of God. That which were the entities of scientists that desired to capture this asteroid and bring it forth into space base as they would turn it to be, with crystalline formations of laser weapons, etc. These were the Orions. They are your brothers. Indeed, they are also part of the Illuminati, the ones that are, shall we call it, manipulating your financial picture in this your time. They are the ones that you must love and embrace. that you indeed must come to understand that it is their desire not to hurt or harm, but their desire to understand their own relationship with the creative essence. And they do this the only manner that they understand in their experience of their now. It is for you to reflect unto them a new awakening, a new knowing, a new understanding, so that their hearts may be opened, and indeed their power may come forth, not in the manner presented as powerlessness, but as power sourceness. Your dolphins are yet again on this your plane, to experience, to assist, as they did in your before time. They are your brothers as well. They are also a Pleiadian essence. However, all of you are from many different places in your galactic understanding. So do not place too much emphasis on this. That which you call your origin is your own heart in your own now. That which you define as a beginning and an end is placing limitation upon your isness. You are eternal, and so is everyone else. So that which you call your labels of Pleiadians and Orions and Arcturians and Necessonians and Syrians and all of this are temporary. For they are merely labels, and they too will pass away. Your sun for eons of time has been worshipped, and in this worshipping it is the recognition of this God-divine power, this golden power within you, to come forth and bring it unto the earth for healing, for warmth, for that which is the creation of new life, that which is the presentation of brilliance. Bring it forth in your own understanding. Be the Son of God in more ways than one. That is the new Atlantis exemplified. Is there query? That which you call the grand entity of Noah went forth into the land. His sons in your Bible are called Ham, Shem, and Japheth. There were other civilizations that were not so dramatically affected as that which were the Atlanteans and the Lemurians. And indeed, they repopulated also. That which is your Atlantis, the holding in of the knowingness of their genealogy that was dispersed is the knowing that your Indians, your American Indians, are your red-skinned peoples. Your Atlanteans were also red-skinned in a manner. That which were your Egyptians were their forebears. And that which were the understanding of your Peruvians, your Incas, they also came forth from the land of Atlantis. Now, that which was your Noah brought forth his sibling to create many of the races that are now upon your plane. And he brought forth, when reaching that which was dry land, a covenant, a knowingness with the God divine creative essence that is all that is within the sevenfold spectrum of the rainbow. Sevenfold. There has been what you call a documentation in one ancient record that is housed within your archives of this your nation, within that which you call the Smithsonian Institute, that links that which be I to that which be Noah as the patriarch of the world. But it is not documented in your history books. Neither is any of this other wisdom that is being brought forth. This too will change. They were hard pressed. That which were your mammoths were frozen in the ice. That which indeed were many of your smaller animals, the insects that crept upon the ground, they were swept away by the floods and incinerated immediately by the volcanic ash. You see, the heat within the atmosphere was heavy laden upon this your plane. There was a golden glow within that which was the winds of your earth. That which is your atmosphere is now clearing in a manner that it can be clarified into union with the celestial heavens without the ionosphere. See, you all dread the ionosphere's disappearance because you fear radiation. But do you know the ionosphere will disappear and you will not be harmed because you will be in alignment with the sun.
What is the ionosphere?
It is a protective layer of this earth plane. It absorbs the radiation of the sun. You know that which was the ash and the dust within your clouds that were dispersed upon this your plane? They are indeed quite rapid in the accumulation of electrostatic particles. Therefore, they became charged, and there was lightning and thunder rampant within the skies all over the plane. It rendered the heavens quite enormously brilliant through the golden glow, the amber glow of the lava spewed forth, and the lightning as it illuminated the devastation upon the land. I was desirous of speaking about that which was the Atlantean culture, that which you call this evening of your time, and the demise of it, as it were. That which is your phoenix is born of the ashes of the dust of the volcanic ash of this that you call Atlantis. It rises again in its splendor, its purple-hued plumage, indeed in its wonderment, in awe of new life, a new adventure, new heart rumblings within its belly, bring forth excitement within its breast. And indeed it goes forth into that which is the etheric understanding, the heavens, the firmament, until that which is the next fire is to be cast of its nest, and it is consumed in the fire of its flames, to be born yet again. This is the experience of each now moment being born from the fire of the moment before. You are all phoenixes. Understand this reflection, and you will understand living in joy. This is a rebirthing time. You have carried the torch of this wisdom of Atlantis for eons of your time and handed it from one another, heart to heart, but you did not understand the brilliance you were bearing. You did not understand the power of divinity within this fiery flame. You did not understand that the torch was you. And you are understanding it now. You are all coming forth to herald in the golden era of God, the Aquarian ages it is called. Do so with joy and celebration. Elaborate festivity of heart. Fleece yourself in playfulness and friskiness. Wiggle your rumpuses, as it were, and allow yourself to become unfettered. This is not for doom. This is for the understanding of delight. You are the peoples of Atlantis, children born on this plane and this timing to be the peoples of Atlantis again, reborn. This your America is your new Atlantis. Hold the torch high, cast forth your light. Be divine freedom exemplified. Freedom from the shackles of fear and doubt. That includes fear about your monetary circumstance. I reiterate it because it is quite an important issue upon your plane in this timing. And it is of vitality for you to understand what has been spoken herein before in your time. It is the witching hour, as they call it. We will resume here on another day in your time to discuss Lemuria, the Pleiadians, the buildings of the cathedrals of Atlantis. And indeed, what was that crystal technology everyone is so hurry-scurry chitter-chattering about?
The Saint Germain, the light that you're talking about, where people could put their hand in, and that would be their education. I'd like to know more about that too.
Many would.
Yeah.
Short education.
It is not really an education. It is wisdom received. But in order to receive this wisdom, you must allow the resonance. And in order to do this, you must be powerfully accustomed to opening your seals. You are in what you call training camp now.
Yeah.
Saint Germain, talking about the seals, I'm sure you've throughout history seen different Indian-like ceremonies and purification ceremonies using certain substances that open up the seals, like peyote or mescaline. And I was wondering if how you perceived those and what you thought about those.
That is what you call a forceful opening of aperture into the seals. It is what you call bringing forth rindings and holes within your auric field. Therefore, those are to be healed. In other words, it is an unnatural, non-allowing sort of a flow.
Why are they here then?
For your experience, if you choose them.
So benefit can come from them.
In one way or another, through wisdom gained, just like the fire when you place your hand within it.
So in other words, they are like forcing an opening where perhaps the opening wasn't supposed to be?
Not supposed to be, but it was not harmonious according to your attunement in that moment for it to be open.
Is there a time when they can be?
They can
attuned?
always be attuned. You must desire them. You see, in order to allow the seals of your being to open harmoniously in a flow, in synchronous fashion, it begins with your heart seal.
With your heart?
Not with any one of the others, as you may suppose. According to your attunement, it is different for different entities. But your heart seal is the spigot. When we resume at another timing to discuss further about Atlantis, the technology and the culture, the people, the sociology of it all, bring forth with you memory. Allow yourself one memory, at least, in the bouquet of your bringing forth unto the gathering. And as you remember this memory, allow yourself to expand it, to incorporate other memories into it. Not only of Atlantis, but other memories of other dimensional experience. For Atlantis was a channel into the inner earth that is now covered by lava. But indeed, the inner earth still exists in the nearness of that dimension of space-time. You do remember the inner earth if you will allow yourself to. You were all quite beloved of my heart. Wondrous peoples of the land of Atlantis, Israel, Egypt, and America. I would desire a toast before departing. Are you ready?
Yes.
To the light bearers, to the love bearers, indeed, to the new Atlanteans, the phoenixes, the pyramids, the golden glow of God. I salute you, and indeed, in eternal love, I am forever in your gratitude. So be it.
So be it.
And may you be an automatic drive without becoming shiftless. It is like a stream from Iceland bedding down the tunnel of my throat. It is wondrous. I have truly enjoyed this evening of your time. It has been my honor to bask in your light. It brings me much pleasure of heart. I desire not to depart.
We have a couch you can sleep on.
I desire not slumber either. I have plenty of that. For that which is slumber is merely other dimensional experience. Now, fare thee well for now, my dear beloved ones. And remember, easy glum, easy glow. Thought you'd like that one. Namaste.
Namaste.